Good morning, friends, wherever you are, and welcome to today's Cichlids and Coffee. Oh, yeah. Hope you're having a good cup of joe wherever you are, or whatever your favorite beverage is. Hope you're enjoying it while watching today's live stream. I appreciate those of you who arrived early. We have a lot to talk about today, and that includes the topic in the thumbnail, the diversity that I have moved into over the last couple of years, but also I'm going to share with you, if I can, assuming that the way I've set up these links in my computer work. Also, I'll be sharing some slides that I'm going to be using today after the live stream at the Music City Aquarium Society in the live talk. I'm going to give you folks a first look at some of those PowerPoint slides, assuming I can get the PowerPoints to come into the OBS platform. And we have Zen Ginger, who I love to have here. Hey, Zen, I'm glad you're here. And one of my moderators, I see Danny's in the house, who tells me the AV is great. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate that immensely. And Todd River Aquatics, John. Okay, so I don't know, are there more than one Todd River Aquatics, or are there more people there? And so we have to say John, but John, welcome all the way from Australia. Love it. Peas and Haps Forever in the house. Kendall G is here. So is Michael Lotinero. Good morning to you, my friend. And let's see who else is here. I'm checking the chat. Lady Diane in the house. Very good. Adam C. Hey, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you, Adam C. Adam is a excellent fish keeper. One of the folks who I followed when I first got onto YouTube, and who has always had spectacular African cichlids. And hey, GP, I got your message about driving and eyes on the road, but then I wrote eyes on the road, and I said, wait a minute, if he reads my comment, that means his eyes will be off the road. So glad you're here. I'm glad you can listen. And let's see, Shane Phillips, good morning to you, my friend. Hey, Rico Stan in the house. Hello, Rico Stan. Good to see you. Rico, you're going to be over at Aquashella in November. Maybe I'll see you there. Hey, Ronald, a.k.a. Snorkel King. Good to see you there. Nathan's in the house. A great group, Rocky and Miles. Love that name. Looks like Michael. Is that Michael Hainsworth? Let me see. Michael Hainwich. Almost good afternoon. All right. So, a lot to cover today. And so let's go ahead and start off by just doing a very quick shout out to my monthly supporters, members of the Patreon program. The details are in the description under the video. Without you folks, a lot of what I do would not be possible. And that's just the simplicity of it. And I appreciate my monthly Patreon supporters. Starts for as little as $3 a month. Also, those of you who have gone to Teespring and purchased t-shirts and coffee mugs and all kinds of good stuff, I thank you. That also helps the channel. And the other way to help the channel, of course, is to use the Amazon link, which perhaps one of my moderators will share. The Amazon link. If you use that link to get to Amazon, anything you buy gives a credit to the channel. So that is very cool as well. All right, let's do the official kickoff here for today's Cichlids and Coffee live stream. There you go. Now it's official. And we have Waynard Woolmarans in the house. Very, very cool. I think high sumps, pumps, and size per tank, please. I can get into that with you. As a matter of fact, after I show you today's special video, which is a rough cut of a video that will be released on YouTube. I'll be sharing that with you, apart from the slides from today's talk at the Music City Aquarium Society. I'll get into some information on sumps and pumps. Let's see here. All right, so it's been a fun week. Nothing crazy to report. Fish are doing pretty good. They're doing pretty good. The hole in the head in the 90-gallon is, it's kind of holding steady, almost entirely gone on the AC Hecali. But, you still have some pits on the on the geos that are not getting worse, but they're not disappearing. So I'm going to continue doing water changes like I did today, and giving them vitamins, keep that UV running, and just give them the best possible conditions. Someone suggested I pull them out of the tank and use hydrogen peroxide on a Q-tip directly on the wound. I don't know. What do you think about that, folks? Did you put hydrogen peroxide directly on the wound of a fish? I don't know. So, Jonathan Smith in the house. Put some crayfish in with my cichlids. What do you feed the crayfish? Well, they'll probably eat cichlids if they get big enough, but you could probably drop in, I don't know. The cichlids are such voracious eaters, and that's one of the problems with having bottom feeders in an African cichlid tank, is that very often the food doesn't make it to the bottom. So you've got to get real clever and perhaps create an area where the crayfish can sneak into, can get into, and then you with some tweezers or something, some type of an extension of some kind, put the food deep in there where the other fish can't get it, but the crayfish can. And I used to have to do that with a pleco because nothing would get to the bottom, and anything that did get to the bottom, the cichlids would just sift it out, and that'd be the end of it. So the pleco's belly started to sink in. So you're gonna have to get a little clever with that crayfish. Assuming he makes it, assuming the cichlids, when they put on size, don't go after him as a treat, which unfortunately can happen. Nathan says, don't know about that either. I'd be hesitant to put hydrogen peroxide. I mean, it was just one quick comment. I'm not really sure if they meant super, like really diluted. I imagine have to be really diluted. I don't know. I mean, I know that disease is very closely linked to stress. And it seems to me that we would just be creating a heck of a lot of stress to net that fish, pull him out, hold him still, immobilize him and touch him with a Q-tip on certain spots. I don't know. It just seems like that would be a little bit traumatic. And then if it ends up creating some type of a burning, or I don't know. I never heard it before, but this is why I bounce things off of you folks, and you folks are the ones I very often will run things by on Saturdays and sometimes during videos too. Looks like Robert Egan is in an ick battle. I think we have all had our share of ick battles. Robert, I have found that just raising that temperature gradually up into the mid 80s, and assuming you have fish that can tolerate that. And I've also had success with Ick Attack. Ick Attack is good, and Ick X is good. I mean, there's lots of them out there. If you have scaleless, if you have like loaches, you got to be careful because some of those are not good for scaleless fish. But just something to be aware of. But you'll get rid of it quick. Hit it early, and it'll be gone. It'll be gone quick. Michael says, "Thank God I had a generator. Or I would have lost about 300 fish. That would have been terrible." Michael, do you have a gas operated generator, or do you have a uninterrupted, one of those big uninterrupted power supplies, a UPS? Do you have one of those? How long was that power outage? Wow. I'm glad you got through it. Antibiotic dips. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's lots of ideas. There's a couple ways you can go. You can go on hitting it with. I've used antibiotics already on the tank. It's gone through it went through a paracleanse, a series of paracleanses, treatments, and water changes, and at the end of it, and it's gone through some substantial water changes. Gone through the adding of Vitamax vitamins. I've added a UV sterilizer. I mean, the water quality is unbelievable. I mean, I'm looking at the tank now. It's like looking at a block of air. But at any rate, I'll go ahead and I'll show you the tank here before we end up. 4 days. Holy moly for a blackout. Yeah. Without a generator, you'd be lost. Even I'm thinking even a big, powerful, uninterrupted power supply would probably die after about a day, depending what you're running. I mean, if you just throw some sponge filters in just to keep the oxygen level up, it's warm enough so you could probably don't have to worry about the temp. The temp isn't going to go way down. But if you have this is why those lithium powered air pumps are so important. I've got 2 air stones in this tank and 2 air stones in the 210, and then the other tanks that are using air are powered by lithium. The Aquarium Co-op lithium. I also have I'm from a couple companies. I have one I think from Higer, but anyway, they can go 2 days. They can go. So even those eventually would run out, and then you'd have to be down there, like breaking up the surface of the tank with your hands to facilitate oxygen exchange, CO2 exchange, and because I think it's the oxygen depletion that kills them off. Hey, Jerry Martin in the house. Hey, Jerry, good to see you, buddy. I'm going to be spending some time with Jerry over in Daytona. He is he's letting me crash in one of his bedrooms, so we might be doing a live stream from Jerry's house. Jerry, we can probably do it so that your computer is running and mine is running at the same time. I'm not sure how much bandwidth you have there, but and we can do a simulcast to your channel and to mine and do a live stream from your house. What do you think about that? That'd be kind of fun, I think. All right, let's see. Then Ginger had a freeze with no power. Now that would be scary, especially here in this garage where I have some insulation, but I got the door insulated, the ceiling's insulated because there's a bedroom up there, but these sidewalls are I don't think they are, and it would get very, very cold in here. So I am going to be at some point, and this is where you folks like my super chatters and supporters of the channel, people who watch the videos, this is where your help comes in handy, because I'm building up a little fund to put some heating and cooling in here, something a little bit more formal than a floor heater, than a portable. Let's see here. Boss, anyone have any thoughts on parrotfish? Boss, I think parrotfish look a little bit like googly eye toys. They're kind of odd, and I like true parrotfish. True parrotfish, I think, are beautiful, but once they've been sort of genetically changed or bred into that reddish orange, and they get that funny head and those googly eyes, I don't know, it's just kind of funny to me. It's like, it reminds me of some of those goldfish that have just very unusual shapes that would not have survived the test of time in a predator environment, right? These fat goldfish that can barely swim. They just sort of bob around, And yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, they're big fins and nice colors, but I don't know. Just seems a little unusual. Of course, those of you who love parrotfish are probably unsubscribing right now. So, all right. So let's get into today's topic, and I have a special video for you. It's a rough cut. It's got no fancy transitions, no music, no no lettering or words, nothing. It's just a rough cut that I created before today's live stream after I did some water changes. I had a busy morning. Let me go ahead and bring it up. I'm going to change scenes here. All right. And here we go. I hope you enjoy this. Go ahead and comment during the video. Let me know what you think. And we can take up some of your comments after the video. I don't think I would have quit the hobby if I hadn't gotten into diversity of fish and plants. But I think it might have gotten a little bit old, a little bit maybe a little bit redundant, or not quite as stimulating or exciting as it has become. And so I really think that adding so much diversity, especially at an older age, where folks are tossing around things like, well, the old dog can't learn a new trick, and just kind of go with what you know and blah blah. It's actually really been good for me to actually get into a variety of fish, plants, and other types of things related to the aquarium hobby. It's changed it. It's kept it challenging, not without frustrations, but certainly it's kept me engaged and interested and learning and researching and making mistakes and getting corrections, getting corrected, getting advice, good advice, some bad advice, but mostly good advice. And here I am. I mean, let me tell you a little bit what I mean by showing you some of the tanks. I think a lot of folks in the YouTube community certainly consider me still as the African cichlid guy, since that is really how I built this channel, with African cichlids. And it really is a love of mine, and something that hasn't really wavered. I'm still crazy about them, crazy about their shapes, their sizes, the way they behave. Even the aggression is something that is, it's just a challenge. But it was time, I think, really to take a look at something different. And that the first move, if you remember, for those of you who've been following my channel for a while, the first switch was over to South and Central Americans, which I have in this 210 gallon, which was originally intended for the African cichlids, but as the Africans put on size, the 300 seemed like a better idea, especially with some encouragement from James Largo, talking to me about how that trout was going to grow so big. But now that I look at these South Americans, my goodness, they're massive. Look at the size of this Oscar and this Vieja. I'll give you a little more light here so you can see them better. The colors on that fish. Salvini, beautiful fish. Jack Dempsey. So this was a really interesting idea. I mean, I hadn't put wood in an aquarium, only because it's just not something you normally do with African cichlids. So the idea of getting wood, harvesting wood, cleaning it, and putting it into the tank was all part of this adventure. Learning about these fish, the differences between males and females, which are very simple in the African cichlid community. I mean, the males have the color, the females don't, but among these fish, I mean, like in the case of the Salvini, I think the female is much prettier than the male with that red in the belly. So it's a little bit of a different game here with these types of fish, which had to be learned. The whole idea of a dither fish, that was kind of a new thing to me as well. Then adding this guy here, I mean, I really didn't even know what a red tear was. I learned to appreciate caves, adding caves to aquariums, and then seeing who actually uses them has been pretty interesting. Like that Salvini is really into caves, and this one loves never being too far from his cave. Perhaps one of the biggest learning experiences has come from having to learn about plants. What happens when you first put them into an aquarium, the sort of melt back that occurs, the battle for nutrients between brown, black algae and your plants, and how you ultimately overcome that by establishing the plants and having the plants be the sort of apex predator when it comes to phosphates, ammonia, nitrates. And when that happens, when you turn that corner, all of a sudden the black algae more or less melts, disappears, and you end up with some very good plants. And of course, it helps to start off with good quality plants. I got these from the Aquarium Co-op, and I've recently added some hornwort that is grown locally over at the Aquatic Critter, and that's been a nice addition. I love the way the hornwort looks and sort of frames the tank, and it's doing a lot of the filtering, a lot of the duties, and as a result, the fish look great. You look at the color on that EBA, electric blue Ochara. Look at the color on the neons, on the rummy noses. Look at the noses on the rummy noses. The plants, I think, are helping to make this just a real rock solid tank. This tank here has forced me to learn about something I didn't necessarily want to learn about, which is hole-in-the-head disease. The more people I talk to, the more I find out that geos are not necessarily that immune to it. Apparently, it's not that uncommon with geos. And as you can see, I'm still battling it, but have it under control. It's starting to scale back, more or less disappeared from the AC Hecali. You can see right here, the Hecali can't even really tell anymore. So he's gotten really a lot better. Again, ditherfish, in this case Buenos Aires tetras, that were moved over from the planted aquarium because they were destroying the plants in there. So now they can munch on these plastic plants. This aquarium has also forced me to learn about UV, and I have a UV green killing machine in the back corner there, and that's contributing to this great water quality that you see here, but never a dull moment. Another tank that has gotten me really enthused is this little live bearer tank. This is just a little 20-gallon rimless from my friends over at the Glass Cages in Dixon. And again, you see a lot of water sprite and hornwort that is helping a lot of these little babies to make it. If you can make them in that, make them out there. There's lots of babies up there, and got some cories in here, a pleco, some guppies, some platies, mollies, and a few snails. Some fish is always about to pop in here. And from time to time I'll throw a few more in there. This tank also got me into sponge filters, which I had never really been using before. You can see a little baby there pecking on the sponge filter. That's one of the advantages of sponge filters. They capture food, which is then eaten off the sponge filter, as opposed to the food just going into your filter. Another tank that's actually gotten me really forced me to learn has been this tank here. And this is the betta penthouse, and the betta is hiding here up there in the plants. There he is. Keep some better lighting. Better lighting. Just a beautiful fish. One of my favorite all-time bettas. Just picked him up out of a cup at like a Petco. He was very pale, but I saw a lot of potential, and I kind of wanted to have a Dumbo. Got this red floating lily here, just absolutely beautiful. Someone mentioned that I could put it in the ground, but it does okay. It seems to be thriving floating, so I'm going to leave it up there because the betta plays in it just like he plays in the Sprite. And I'll probably be adding a little bit of hornwort to this as well. At first he was messing around with this betta log, but doesn't seem to go into that much now. We're facing off. He's showing me who's boss. Come on, dude, you got a 29-gallon aquarium. That's pretty good for a betta. I don't think you need to go after me so hard. Anyway, there's some plecos in here and some coolie loaches. I am using some of those leaves, almond leaves, that I get from the aquarium co-op. And these also are aquarium co-op sponges. You can see there in the back. I've got a couple of them. And they're being run by one of those aquarium co-op lithium battery two outlet pumps, so that in the event that there's a power outage, it doesn't really matter. It'll keep running for a couple days. Of course, the betta goes to the surface and gulps air like your cory cats do. So if you had a power outage and surface tension breakup stopped, right, you'd probably still be okay for a while. All these things I've shown you have really helped to keep me on my toes, keep me engaged, forcing me to learn. And those are all real good things, especially I think when you get older and you start to get kind of a little stuck in your ways and used to doing things a certain way. It's really good, I think, to just sort of shake things up a bit and force yourself to get immersed in new ideas and new concepts. So I think that adding all these different things and the diversity has really, it's just added a lot of excitement, enjoyment, and certainly years to my participation in fish keeping. So at any rate, thank you all for your ongoing encouragement during this journey. A lot of the success that I've experienced and the overcoming of setbacks has been with your help. All right, and I appreciate that greatly. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. All right, hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of a combination of almost like a lap of the fish room while discussing. One of the things I didn't discuss, which was interesting because one of you asked about it earlier, was about sumps. And I think when I finally do release that as a standalone video, I'm going to include a section on sumps, because here I am, and I think I was in my mid 60s, and all of a sudden I have to learn about cutting and gluing PVC and shaping and angles and head pressure and bulkheads and one-way valves and setting things up so that you don't really flood the place. And of course, the first stump I did was on a hardwood floor, which I don't recommend to anybody, unless your tank is sitting on a good size rubber mat. And because I made some mistakes. I got some water damage on that floor. I had to, we were leasing that house before we left California. I had to pay the landlord almost $1,000. So that also really shook things up for me. And there used to be a workout program, and it was really popular. You could get it on CDs back in the day. It's probably just all up in the cloud now, but it used to talk about muscle confusion. You know, people go to the gym and they do the same, you know, they get on the treadmill, they do a few curls, a couple bench presses, they work on their vanity muscles, right? And then they go home. And it talked about how that's not really good because you're only working a certain set of muscles and you're not really helping all the support muscles and all the other muscle groups that are so vital. And I think I think our brains, to some degree, they need what was referred to as muscle confusion. You got to give your brain muscle confusion. You've got to hit it with new things that you've never done before. And that can't stop. It can't stop when you get older. I think it has to continue. And I just started working with a company. A friend of mine reached out to me and knew that I had certain skills and a certain skill set that their company was in need of. And I figured, well, here I am. I'm sort of semi-retired. I'm really enjoying. I said, you know what? It's a different product. It has some similarities, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in part-time, just a few mornings a week, you know. It'll probably end up being 5 mornings a week, but I'm kind of done at noon. And boy, it's shaking things up. It's getting me to think different and catch up on my technology. And at any rate, I think that is healthy, and you just got to keep doing it, and not just in fish keeping, but just in life in general. And that's just my 2 cents on that. And with Sumps, the aquarium behind me, a 300-gallon aquarium, is being filtered by a 40-gallon breeder, and some large matin sponges that were picked up from Swiss Tropicals. There's a Shisei 9.0 pump, and I think it pumps. I think it's over 2,000 gallons an hour. And no, I'm sorry. On this one behind me, I have 2 Shisei 5.0 pumps returning the water to the aquarium. And then the water overflows and through what's called a shadow overflow box, and then goes down into the 40-gallon aquarium, the Sump, cycles through the matin sponges, and then comes back with the 2 Shisei 5.0s. The 210-gallon, interestingly enough, has a 29-gallon Sump, which I might upgrade to a 40-gallon at some point because the fish have put on so much more size. But and that one has a Shisei 9.0 return pump on it. Both tanks have a canister filter providing additional filtration. A Sun 704B sitting in a large Rubbermaid tub under the 210, and a Fluval FX6, which is behind the 300, which makes it very easy to work on, also sitting in a Rubbermaid tub. So that's the filtering configuration. And I'll probably add a segment on sumps and plumbing to that short video that I showed you before I upload it to YouTube. That's probably not going to occur today because I am going to be running off to the Music City Aquarium Society to deliver a talk, and as soon as we're done here. So now at that talk, I'll show you something. I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint presentation. And let me see if I can show it to you. This is the talk. The talk is Tips to Maximize Fish Health and personal enjoyment. And let me see if I can actually move you through some of the slides here. I start off the talk by doing a survey just to find out a little bit about the people that I'm going to be interacting with, and finding out about their, the types of aquariums, how many aquariums, how long they've been in the hobby, what kinds of fish they keep. And this gives me kind of a feel for the audience. And then I give them a little background about myself, and, starting off as a cichlid guy, talk about Instagram, Facebook, things like that. My roots in cichlids, but then getting off into diversification. And I tie the concept of diversification, diversity of fish keeping, into preventing burnout. And then I'll talk a little bit about the fish room and what's actually going on in the fish room. Talking about the 210, the type of fish that are in the 210, the diversity of that tank, which is a little bit different from what most folks would put together. Some folks like to do strictly South American. Some do strictly, Central American. I have a mix in there that, fingers crossed, so good so far, right? So I'll talk a little bit about that, about how I added the ditherfish, and then I'll move around in the fish room during the talk. I'll talk a little bit about the planted tank, the amount of enjoyment I'm getting out of seeing the fry that are constantly up in the hornwort and the water sprite. And then I'll get into the 90-gallon, what's been going on there, maybe talk a little bit about hole in the head and what I've had to encounter there. You can see there on the Geo how it's almost disappeared on that one. Certainly on the Ace Hecali, it's almost gone as well. Again, getting back to the fish room, getting into the 300-gallon, and just the different types of fish that are in that aquarium. Massive Fusco, Kawingi, beautiful tangerine tiger that I just love. Part of the Protomellus family. That awesome Malawi trout. This very, very docile, Venusis, again, another Nimbochromis that you would expect to be a bit more aggressive, but really isn't. And of course, that beautiful Red Devil, which is in a separate 55-gallon. And then moving around the fish room, moving over to the planted tank, and getting into how learning about, there's my crazy whiptail, learning about plants, being able to beat back black and brown algae and really create, a planted tank that is vibrant and healthy. And then finally, I think I end up talking about this beautiful red, pink, and blue betta specimen, which I'm just having so much fun with. And how even snails are giving me quite a thrill these days. And of course, I'm going to be getting into a little bit into sumps and deep substrates, and how that's added a lot of stability to what it is that's going on. So at any rate, there's a lot of slides. That's slide number 40, and there's about 50 different slides. I'm not going to get into all of them with you, but that's going to give you an idea of what I'm going to be getting into at today's talk at Music City Aquarium Society. Starts at 2 o'clock. If you're in the Middle Tennessee area, think about stopping by. Be great to see you there. I love it when people walk up to me and go, "Hey, I've been watching your channel," and gives you a real good warm feeling. So, tell me a little bit about what's on your mind, folks. And I'm going to go back through the chat. If I missed any super chats, I am sorry because I wasn't watching the chat very closely. But let's take a look here. I'll scan through it right now. I can give you a moment of fame. There's the chat. Let's see. We can see who's been active there. Zen Ginger, Kimberly, Frankel, Mexicali in the house. Eric is here. Cheers to you, my friend. Enrico Stan, Finn Golfin. Hey, Finn Golfin. I'm glad you made it. It's okay to be late. You can catch the front end on the replay if you like. And of course, Zen Ginger, Jerry Martin. And Jerry, I am really sorry about that Oscar. It was really kind of an odd situation because I had just talked about in a live stream the losing. One of the downsides of big fish is it's kind of hard to lose a big fish. You know, you lose. I mean, we get all of us have different levels of attachment. I understand that. But, you have a school of 25 little nanofish and one of them gets lost. If you even notice, you remove them from the tank and it's, poor guy, but boy, oh boy, you lose a 12-inch, 2-pound Oscar. It's a little bit different. You're not going to, even disposing of that fish, it's like, man, I got to go dig a hole somewhere. I mean, it's like, you have to have like a service for him. I mean, it's a real different scene. And so we had talked about that. And then I get a text from Jerry like a couple days later, how weird it was that we were talking about that. And it happened. He lost his Oscar after a battle with the head and lateral line erosion, the hole in the head disease. So at any rate, very unusual. So let's take a look here at what's on your mind. Let me look at some of the comments here. Hey, someone just hit me with a super chat. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that, my friend. So $2 for every week I miss. Now, I want everybody to know I want everyone to know that is that is not something that is required. If you, from now on, if you miss a week, you have to pay $2 for every week you miss. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. We will not be imposing penalties. All right. It looks like Nathan talking about how getting into Africans, I guess African cichlids, more. However, I started with green tears and Oscars, set up all Severum tank, 9 different kinds of Severums. Wow. There are some beautiful Severums out there. And my peacocks and haps, though, are a job for sure. Are you seeing a lot of aggression, Nathan? It would seem to me, Rocky and Miles, that a female betta would probably be okay. I would certainly have a few places that fish can kind of get behind if they need to, whether it's plants or rocks or decor of some kind, just in case. But I've seen betta in different tanks, and they seem to be okay in a community. And I haven't kept betta fish long enough to tell you that much about their temperament. I know that there are some Mabuna, some cichlids you could probably keep with anybody. Like that Venusus, I could probably put him. Well, I wouldn't put him in the community tank, but I could probably put him in the 90-gallon. He'd probably be all right. But there are some fish that they would just destroy everybody. If I put that red tear in that planted tank. I mean, he's always staring at it to begin with. And like I say in videos, he looks over there longingly, like, oh my goodness. It's like watching a buffet that you can't touch. So at any rate, I don't know, roll the dice, give it a shot. Yeah, Jerry, you almost have to do that. I mean, they're just too big to do anything else. You just put them out and help, put them out there in the garden and have them help the flowers, I guess. Looks like Waynard has a 1,500-gallon tank about to get underway. What an exciting project. Andy, you are 100% right about tricking the brain and using it in many different ways. I did brain rehabilitation in Utah following a vehicle accident, and that is along the lines of what they preach. I'll tell you, it's you folks remember the original Terminator movie when I think they shot him in the head or something, and there was a reroute, like his circuitry rerouted, and I think we have the ability to reroute. I mean, like if you look at a heart scan from somebody who's had a partial blockage, the body has created new pathways, new capillaries, new vessel, new veins, what have you, right, to compensate and move blood. So it tries to make up for the partial. Anyway, the body's amazing, and if you're right-handed, practice writing left-handed. If you're left-handed, practice writing right-handed. Learn a new language. I mean, yeah, scramble up that brain, man. I think it's a good thing. Create new pathways. Adam set up a betta tank for his wife. That's great. I think eventually I'll set up a little betta tank for my granddaughter. I think that might be her first tank. I mean, they're so pretty. Such a pretty fish. And it's just, one fish. So if you have any comments or questions, let's go ahead and ask them now. I think we are probably going to be ending off on the hour only because I do need to head out to downtown Nashville. So get your questions in now. I'll go ahead and change the scene. I'll tell you what, while you're thinking about your questions, I'll give you a quick spin here. Hold on one second. Here we are at the 210. As you can see, it's popping. I'll work my way around the other way. Hold on. What you see here is the betta tank and the planted live bear tank. As you go over this way, you end up at the 90-gallon. Now you know your way around my garage. I want you to take a look at the water quality, and I think it has to do a lot to do with the that UV light that's running on there. You truly have that that floating in air kind of situation going on. See that red shoulder chasing the gold spotted Severum. And one nice thing about that hornwort, I know, Jerry, you were talking about getting some hornwort. It's constantly moving around. And so you never know what it's going to look like from one day to the next. You can see here in the planted tank, it's currently like all over the place. After the last water change, it shifted around, and it's just creating some real interesting patterns in the aquarium. And I'm definitely going to go back and get some more of that stuff. I just like it a lot. There you go. Just thought I'd give you a spin around the room. I'll try and film some of today's talk. I know that some of you expressed an interest in being able to see some of the talk. I'll try and capture some of it. I mean, I'm being invited there as a guest, and so I usually don't necessarily want to, kind of make it my YouTube event. You know what I'm saying? It's sort of like their event, but I don't think they'll mind if I throw up a tripod somewhere and let the phone film me. So at any rate. Paul, downtown Nashville isn't that bad unless they have a big concert going on, or the Predators are playing in the hockey. Or those are the two things: a big concert. I think just recently there was a concert down there. They had to shut it down. They shut all the roads down. You couldn't even get in. You couldn't get out. You had I think you had to come in and out by Uber, and so it just depends what's happening in town, but. You keep in mind, I'm from Los Angeles, so I don't know. I guess if I went to Mexico City or Tokyo or something, or maybe Punjab or something, I'd get put off. But you're gonna have to throw a lot of traffic at me to make me say it's too much. In LA, 24 hours a day. I mean, you'd have heavy traffic. So I'm okay. So, at any rate, with that being said, I think we'll go ahead and use this as an opportunity to wind down. Waynard is asking how many tanks I have. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4 little pleco tank. 5, 6 hospital tank. 7, 8 hospital tank. 9, 10. I have 10 tanks, and I have a 60-gallon acrylic that I plan on setting up. I don't know where, but I will. And I have a little Higer 8-gallon that I'm doing nothing with. So I don't know. So I got this many. I'm at that point right now where the fish room is able to be maintained with the right amount of effort that I'm willing to put out at this stage in life. We'll see if that changes with the new job that I'm taking on, which is going to tie up some of my mornings that might have been used for maintenance and filming and what have you. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm at a good point right now, and I think if I add more, I might get to that point that I talk about where it starts to become work, and I never want to experience that. So I want to thank all of you for watching today. Thank my wonderful moderators, my wonderful super chatters, my Patreon supporters, and all of you who gave it a thumbs up and subscribed. You are the best. And if you're coming to the talk this afternoon, I look forward to seeing you there. And I think that's it. I think that's it for me. You rock, my friends. You're the best. You are very appreciated. You have made my YouTube experience very special. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye for now.